Arataka being called by a farmer who felt like his farm was haunted. Arataka calls Mob, and it is revealed that the scarecrow seems fishy. He destroys the scarecrow just to find out that the real body of the spirit lies underneath it. The spirit holds Arataka hostage and forces Mob to surrender. The roots that the spirit claimed to be possessing was just him controlling them. Mob controls them as well and overwrites the control of the spirit. At the end, Mob beats the spirit. As Shinji Kamuro decides to step down from his position as a student council president, Ichi Misato wants Mob to become the next student council president, as he would be able to impress his crush like this. Mob was all up for it until the day of the election, when he wasn't able to say anything on the stage, and that's how Shinji was re-elected. In an interesting turn of events, Mob receives a love letter from a girl named Emi in his locker. They start walking home together daily. Emi reveals that she wants to become a novel writer. She makes Mob read her novel, which he likes. However, Emi's feelings for Mob were all a lie because she lost a bet with her friends, and that's why she had to ask Mob out. As Emi returns to her friends, they laugh at her novel and rip it into pieces. Mob arrives there and tells the girls not to do it. Emi then tells her friends to go without her. Mob tells Emi that he's an esper, as he collects the pieces of Emi's novel using his powers. In the next episode, we see Arataka taking Mob to a place where people were talking about urban legends. He sees an opportunity and puts up a stand. Another psychic named Banchomaru arrives there and tells Arataka to go away. Meanwhile, a lady approaches them and tells them that a spirit is haunting her. Both Arataka and Banchomaru agree to split the money and help the lady. Both Arataka and Banchomaru start investigating. Banchomaru comes across a man in a red raincoat who is revealed to be a pervert. While chasing that pervert, it starts raining and a woman appears who is apparently Kuchisaki Onna. The pervert tries to hurt her using his stun baton, but it has no effect on her. She knocks him out and drags him into the water. Banchomaru tries to stop her as well, but she knocks him down and starts dragging him as well. Now Dimple appears and possesses Banchomaru, saving his skin. He informs Arataka that Kuchisaki Onna is here. When Arataka and Mob arrive at the scene, they can't seem to see her in their camera. It was revealed that she feeds on the fear of the masses. As Mob doesn't really fear her, he easily defeats her. The last urban legend that they had to face was Dash Granny. As they enter a long tunnel, they come across a running granny. As Mob wasn't able to exorcise her, all of them start running away from the granny, but she was able to catch up. It was only when the granny ran past them, revealing herself to be a normal old woman. The next episode starts off with a man approaching Arataka to place a curse on somebody. Arataka hesitantly starts cooking up a fake spell. The man told him that he will put a real curse on Arataka if he turned out to be a fake. After a while, Arataka and Mob leave to talk to their client, who told them about a figure who had been stalking her. As they're talking about the stalker, the room starts shaking and the figure appears outside the window. As Mob was unable to exorcise it, it was revealed that the figure was actually a human and not a spirit. He had a crush on the woman, who rejected him brutally and handed him over to the police. While Mob and Arataka are walking on their way home, they come across 3 students who take them to a haunted house just for Arataka to take their picture. The students then left after refusing to pay Arataka, as they didn't avail any of his services. The next day, we see Mob getting bullied by a bunch of high schoolers. Ritsu and Dimple were helping him using their psychic powers, but Body Improvement Club arrived there to protect Mob. The 3 students were back at Arataka's office, asking him to help them exorcise the spirit present in the photo that they took in front of the haunted house. Arataka told them to take the most expensive plan and agreed to help them. As all of them reach the haunted house, Mob senses the presence of 3 spirits, but he also tells everyone that the spirits are not evil. As Mob tries to exorcise them, the spirits start begging him to leave them alone, as they are a family and want to live like this. Mob doesn't want to exorcise them, but his clients are adamant on getting the spirits exorcised. Arataka then takes the matters in his own hands and sprinkles salt on them, telling the students that the spirits have been exorcised. Later, Dimple asks Arataka if it was right to take money for free. Arataka told him that he did the right thing because the whole thing would have been suspicious. Dimple then proceeded to eat a curse placed on Arataka after he was requested to. In the next episode, Mob and Arataka visit a rich man named Masashi Asagiri who had hired them in order to exorcise a spirit. That man had also hired a lot of other psychics. Asagiri told all of them that his daughter, Minori, had been possessed by a spirit and he had to lock her up because of that. All the psychics play rock, paper, scissors in order to decide which psychic goes first. Arataka wins and goes to analyze Minori's behavior. It seems that she's not possessed at first, but later it is revealed that she was possessed by Kaiji Mogami, a former psychic. Dimple warns Mob and Arataka of Mogami, but Mob tries to exorcise the spirit, realizing that Mogami's spirit is deep-rooted inside of Minori. As Mogami tries to possess Mob's body, Mob enters Minori's body with Dimple inside his own body to distract Mogami. Mogami tells Mob that he had created a mental world where he can bend reality and do whatever he wants. He easily defeats Mob and creates a mental world of Mob's life without him having any family or friends. In the next episode, Mogami tells Mob his life story. He used to take odd jobs in order to help his ailing mother, but at the end, his mom died and blamed him for her death. He committed suicide afterwards and became a wandering spirit. Mob gets to see himself bullied by his classmates without any help from his family or friends. Mob had spent 6 months inside of the mental world when only half an hour had passed in the real world. Dimple manages to take other psychics out of the mental world, but stays inside Minori's body in order to help Mob. Mob is struggling and Dimple arrives there to help him. As Mob comes to his senses, he destroys the spirits unleashed on him by Mogami. As Mogami is defeated, a lot of spirits start releasing and even Mogami couldn't control them. They started destroying Mob's body, but he reaches 100% and that's how he gets out of that mental world. Mob wakes up in his body and Mogami is captured as well. Minori then wakes up and reveals that she could see everything that was happening in that mental world. Mob confirmed from her if she was actually a bully in her real life, which she affirmed. She then started crying and Mob told her that it's fine. People have the ability to change, and she can change as well. The next episode starts with Mob's struggle to balance his school life and his work life. Mob is disappointed to see that he had been used by Arataka just because he has actual psychic powers and decides to leave him. As Mob leaves Arataka, Arataka realizes how lonely he is. He tells himself that he used to work alone before, even without Mob's help, so he will be able to find a solution to this situation. He decides to make a few videos on how to exorcise spirits and started giving free courses as well. He also started giving advices to people about life. Arataka's popularity soars, and he was given the name Seasoning City Bro. A magazine interviews Arataka, and he's also offered to be on a TV show. He's all up for it. However, what he doesn't realize is that he was being tricked into revealing himself to be a fake psychic by Kirin Jodo, who was angry at him because he kneed him in the face while being possessed by Mogami. In the next episode, Arataka has been exposed as a fake psychic. He started getting humiliated by his old customers who had made a group of victims of Arataka. When the news reaches Mob, he's not really worried as he believes that it was Arataka's own plan. Arataka is forced to give the answers to the media through a press conference. Before the press conference, he tries to think of ways to save himself from humiliation. As the press conference started, he told the media that they don't even have the proof of him being a fake psychic. How can they accuse him? Arataka starts thinking about how Mob met him 3 years ago and started regretting using him for his own good. He then smiles at a camera and says, "You've grown up." The building suddenly starts shaking and the media then accuses Arataka of doing that, saving his skin. Later, Arataka comes across Mob and Dimple, who were in the same building. Arataka asked them why they came. Mob told him that there was no particular reason that they were there. Arataka then asks him if he knows about his true identity, to which Mob replies that he knew all along that Arataka was a good person. In the next episode, we see Mob wanting to participate in a marathon in order to impress his crush, Tsubomi. It is revealed that Mob was at 291st place out of 300, and this time he managed to secure the 74th place, but he faints. Tsubomi and her friend go to Arataka for some relationship advice. As Tsubomi's friend is asking Arataka about her relationship, she's getting all the answers she wants. But Tsubomi doesn't trust him and wants to ask something as well. She lies to him about his crush, and Arataka responds accordingly. But later, Tsubomi reveals that he wasn't trying to scam her friend, so it's okay. Mob wakes up at the nurse's office and is all ready to go home as he's feeling better. Ritsu is at home along with his parents. There is a knock at the door and Ritsu goes to check. He comes across Sho Suzuki, one of the members of Claw, at the door. As Mob arrives at his home, he sees his house burned, and that makes his emotional state go 100%. In the next episode, Dimple calms Mob down by telling him that the burned bodies of his family are not real. Mob then starts looking for the people behind this and come across 2 members of Claw. However, the 2 members had no idea about Mob's family. Mob is reunited with all of his gang, and he finds out that Claw is planning to attack the whole city. All the signals have been hijacked by Hattori of the Ultimate 5 in order to tell people about what Boss has to say. The boss is revealed to be Toichiro Suzuki, Sho Suzuki's father. The Prime Minister had been held hostage successfully by Shimazaki. Teru was up against Shimazaki, but was defeated easily. The next episode starts with our gang trying to infiltrate the tower that the organization had taken a hold of. On the other hand, the members of the organization are in search of Mob, who is sleeping soundly. Shibata finds out where Mob is, and Dimple takes over Mob's body in order to protect him, but Shibata is too overpowered for him. The Body Improvement Club also attempts to fight him, but are defeated. Musashi is the only one left. Dimple takes over Musashi's body and gives him some strength to fight Shibata. Meanwhile, Mob wakes up and defeats Shibata instantly. In the next episode, Mob is on his way to the tower. He faces a bunch of Claw members and is forced to find them. Meanwhile, the flask which contained Mogami was stolen by Claw's member, and they shatter it, revealing a furious Mogami. Mogami wants to crush Minagishi of the Ultimate 5, but Mob stops him from doing that. Mogami tells him that Mob shouldn't be so soft-hearted. Shimazaki is fighting the rest of the members of our gang and defeats them successfully. He then comes across Ritsu. All the members of the gang try to help Ritsu, but Shimazaki is too powerful. Mob then arrives at the scene, but in the end, Shimazaki is defeated by Arataka. In the next episode, we get to see a showdown between Sho and his father. Sho tries to fight his father, but is defeated. Toichiro explains to Sho that when he was young, he had great Esper powers that made him superior to everyone. Mob is able to save the Prime Minister and comes across Serizawa, the most powerful member of the Ultimate 5. Serizawa didn't know how to control his powers, so he was a shut-in. Toichiro offered him to work and also taught him how to control his powers. Mob then faces Toichiro, the boss of Claw. Mob tries to convince Toichiro, but Toichiro is not ready to listen to him. Arataka tries to attack Toichiro, but is stopped and is going to be blown up by Toichiro, but Serizawa saves him. Mob then transfers all of his gang members in a safe place and tells Toichiro that he can finally go all out on him, as his friends are safe. In the last episode, Mob is going through a lot of emotions. Meanwhile, Toichiro reaches 100% of his power and becomes extremely dangerous. In such a state, Toichiro was able to wipe out the whole city without much effort. Mob can't let that happen, neither can he let Toichiro die. He then transfers some of Toichiro's power in his body, and that resulted in a smaller explosion than anticipated. Toichiro is guilty of this act and is ready to face the consequences. He also apologizes to Sho. It is revealed that the explosion caused a broccoli seed to grow out, which Mob kept in his pocket.